Good afternoon. It is Eric Arnold here in the Politics Barn. We're in the secondary studio here this afternoon, this Friday, the 23rd of September. Well, in case you missed it, I'm coming off a 1-week suspension by YouTube for alleged misinformation. So there you have it. The overeducated children at YouTube have suspended me, and I've spent the last week off of YouTube. I've posted a couple videos onto Rumble, my new home Rumble. But so you're saying, well, why? Why? What did you say? Well, you probably heard it, my hardcore viewers. It was a video about baseball. That was, I believe, the title. From July 16th, 2021. Let me say that again, just to make sure you get the point there. July 16th, 2021. I know, this is the year 2022. That's 14 months ago. A video I had on that's been laying on YouTube that probably had 20 viewers. That was the impetus, that was the reason they used, the excuse to suspend me for a week. Now, what did I say? Well, first thing I said was that the Houston Astros would beat the Chicago White Sox at minus 137, and they did, so there's that. But then after I made my pick, I went on to what at the time were some active investigations into whether or not the election was accurate or not. And I basically just regurgitated what was in the current news, among which was an article that was in the Atlanta Journal-Constitution about the Georgia investigation into their elections. So I wasn't like just making stuff up. I was repeating what was in the news. But of course, that's not good enough apparently for YouTube. So now let's get real here, as to what's going on here. A couple things. One, the hypocrisy of YouTube. With these liberal, leftist, communist children. Oh my God. They have no sense of irony. They have no sense of shame. Here's I'm going to link in the comments an article written by Natalia Mittelstadt where she dug out 82 different instances of Democrat politicians questioning the legitimacy of Republican electoral wins over, say, the last 20, 25 years. And it's pretty much every last one of them. Every last one of them. You think of a Democrat politician, she's even got Jimmy Carter on there, for Christ's sakes. Pretty much any Democrat politician in the last 30 years is on the list saying, well, I think Trump, he didn't really win, that type of thing. Russians helped him, he didn't win. Voter suppression, You're allowed to say that apparently on YouTube, but if a conservative questions why, and I hesitate to get into it just because, I want you to see this video on YouTube so at least my viewers know to move over to Rumble. So I'm not going to, really get into it here, lest I be given yet another strike. So they suspended me for a week. Apparently, I'm on double secret probation until December sometime, with, Shazam, right after the midterms. So I can't really say anything on this platform lest I be kicked off permanently. So what I'm doing is, we'll make the occasional sports video and put it here on YouTube, but all the political content is going to be on Rumble, where we can say whatever we want and speak freely like Americans, like adults, not overeducated children. So that's what we're going to do. Politics Barn at rumble.com. That's all one word. Politicsbarn at rumble.com. You can search. It's easy to go to Rumble first and then look for Politics Barn. If you just type Politics Barn, all one word, into Google, it might bring it up, it might not. But if you go to Rumble first, rumble.com, and then search for Politics Barn, that should bring it up. If you type under my name, that'll probably bring up some of my content too, and then you can find it that way. You know, we've been making a video about once a week, so this suspension really didn't hurt us all that much, you know, YouTube. But they've kind of now made me think, it's like, well, I got to make more content, especially since I have less viewers on Rumble. So we got to build up the subscribers on Rumble, so we're reaching more people, so we have the same effect that we were on YouTube before they censored me. So that's what we're thinking. But now let's get into why this is happening. This isn't, no one complained on a video that was 14 months old. No one even knew it was there, for Christ's sakes. Hell, I forgot it was there. I didn't know what I said. I had to rewatch the thing. It's like, what the hell? You know, what is it? What would it, you know, here we have this bit about the election. So YouTube has reconfigured the algorithms to scour all their content, and they're looking for little ham and egger content inventors like me, and they want me off because I'm dangerous, apparently. My ideas are a threat to liberal, communist, overeducated twits like the people that run YouTube. So they want me out, and this is the way of doing it. Now, whether or not they were told to do this by the government, that's an open question. It's pretty clear that the Biden administration is running around behind the scenes, forcing, not forcing, strongly suggesting, bending arms to get big tech to throw ham and egger conservatives off of their platforms. Remember this person here? I'll put this up here. Let's see, what's her name? Nina Jankowicz. Remember her? She was the head of the short-lived Disinformation Governance Board. Can you think of a more Orwellian term than that? And that actually existed for a short time in April of this year, April 2022. Where the Biden administration rolled this out, that Nina Jankowicz was going to be in charge of deciding whether or not what you say on the public airwaves on big tech is true or not. And can you think of anything more Soviet? Incredible. So basically, they were just laughed off the internet, just saying, you got to be kidding me. What are we, communist China now? This is ridiculous. You're going to have this person be the arbitrator of truth? That's ridiculous. Especially considering who she is. She's an out-and-out hardcore leftist. I mean, she was the one that ran around declaring that the Hunter Biden laptop was a product of the Trump campaign, that it was fake, it wasn't real. Obviously, that wasn't true, has proven not to be true. The Hunter Biden laptop is true, as now pretty much everyone admits. I don't even know if YouTube admits it, but it is true, whether you like it or not, YouTube. That is Hunter Biden's laptop. She was one that spoke glowingly. Christopher Steele, he of the now infamous Russia-Trump dossier that was full of lies, fake, leading to the fake, ridiculous 2-3 year investigation into Trump and his Russian ties, which turned up there were no ties. It was all fake and bullshit and made up from the get-go. So that's the arbitrator of truth there, Nina Jankowicz. So they laughed him off the internet, and the Biden administration basically disbanded this board within 2 weeks, I'm guessing. Now, all they did was they just took it behind the scenes. They just said, all right, well, we don't need this public humiliation. What they thought was by going public with this disinformation board, they'd be lauded as heroes. All right, you're doing something about misinformation, yeah, because we all want a government arbitrator of the truth. We need that because we're all children and we don't know what's true or not true on our own. We need the government to tell us. Well, that didn't happen because, for the most part, there are more adults in America than the Democrats thought. So they were laughed off the internet. Well, they just took it behind the scenes. There's been no shortage of information out there about how big government, or I should say the Biden administration, is colluding with big tech to throw conservative voices off. They admit it. They've admitted it again and again and again that they're trying to do away with misinformation. Now, obviously, misinformation in a leftist's vernacular is conservatives. Democrats never provide misinformation, ever. That, at least according to them. So, all they're trying to do is kick their ideological adversaries out of the public town square. Get them to shut up. There's an article I'm going to link in the comments from the New York Post dated the 1st of September. And it references a lawsuit that's going on right now where the district attorneys of Louisiana and Missouri is suing the Biden administration, and they're seeking information as to evidence to this collusion, this obvious collusion that the Biden administration has essentially admitted to. And you know, if they admit to something, that they're doing 20 times that behind the scenes that they're not admitting to. So the district attorneys of Louisiana and Missouri are suing the Biden administration to get basically all the communications that are going back and forth between Facebook and Twitter and YouTube and Google, between them and all the various Biden administration agencies saying, hey, we need you to take that down, do that. This guy over here, he's causing trouble. Take him down. All that, which is, I would argue, probably illegal. But, you know, in today's topsy-turvy, you're standing before a Democrat judge world, who the hell knows what's legal and illegal anymore? So that's going on. It's going on. Did it happen to me? Who knows? I mean, it's clear that the Biden administration wants to shut up all opposition running into these midterms. They want to simply get their voice heard, and they don't want you to hear any other voices. And let's not forget the video that I made some weeks ago where Mark Zuckerberg went on Joe Rogan on his show, where Rogan asked him about the Hunter Biden laptop story, and Zuckerberg admitted that they were told by the FBI prior to the outing of the laptop that there was going to be Russian disinformation and they need to be on guard for that, i.e. censor it. And then that's exactly what Facebook did. They throttled the dissemination of that story. I would argue, based on the FBI threats, you know, they're leading these big tech people right where they want to go anyway. You know, they're all thinking with the same brain. Oh, you want us to censor conservatives? Okay. I mean, I guess at some level, big tech, there probably is occasionally maybe a bean counter or somebody who's like, you know, that guy was actually making us money that we just threw off the platform. I mean, you know, shareholders, you know, price of stock, should we care? Shut up, you greedy capitalist. You know, so probably there's that much angst at big tech when they toss a conservative voice off, but I doubt it. So, you know, I don't even know if the government has to go to big tech and tell them, you need to get these conservatives off. You need to shut them up. This is where big tech wants to go anyway. So that's what happened. I've been suspended for a week. I guess I'm in the good graces for now. Who knows how long? You better watch this video fast. Politics Barn at rumble.com. That's where we're going. Politicsbarn at rumble.com. And I can't repeat that enough. I don't want to make these videos and talk to 3 people. It's somewhat a waste of my time if I'm doing that. It means that they've won, and that's why I'm trying to get enough of you people to come over. But we'll do what we can. We'll do the best we can to build an audience over there at Rumble. Here's a list. Here's a list of all the various topics that we can not talk about over there or over here. Let's remember where we are. We're on YouTube. Here's a whole bunch of topics that we probably cannot talk about here on YouTube. We got vaccinations. Can't talk about that. Vaccine mandates. Can't talk about that. The Ukrainian war. I'm going to talk about that in a few minutes. So if that gets us kicked off, it does. But, I think very shortly that is going to become a verboten topic. Election security, obviously. The origin of the virus. Can't talk about that. And then what if Trump gets indicted? These are off the top of my head. Things that we can't talk about, here on YouTube. Because, I don't have the correct viewpoint on these items according to YouTube. So these are things we could talk freely about on Rumble. The only other point I had here about the censorship that happened, and this is, happened before, where they took down one of my videos previously, and my thoughts are the same, but, and it really is aggravating. It's infuriating, but if I was a Democrat, if I vote for Democrats, and some of my friends, my wife's a Democrat, you vote for Democrats. If that was my party, and these are my leaders, and they believe in this kind of behavior, this kind of censorship, I'd be embarrassed. I'd be humiliated. It's like, you're kidding me. You're not going to let the other guy talk? We can't out-argue him? Let him talk. We got better ideas. Our ideas are smarter. They make more sense. We can win these arguments. We can convince people legitimately that we're right and they're wrong. I'd be humiliated if I was a Democrat. I'd be embarrassed. Don't you feel like a bitch? Like a cowardly bitch if you're a Democrat when this censorship is going on? I don't know. I don't understand the mindset, frankly. I don't know. I was taught, you stand up, you say what you got to say, you play fair. In other words, it's not fair if I get to say something, but then the person I'm debating, he doesn't get to talk. That's just basic fairness. I was taught that in kindergarten. I was taught that in Sunday school. That's a place where you go and you pray to this thing called God. I know a lot of you people don't know what that is, but I was taught basic fairness like that. I'd be humiliated if I had to resort to these kind of tactics to win. If my side did that, the Republicans did that, I guess initially I'd be embarrassed, but I'd stick with them, honestly. In other words, I really want that tax cut. So I kind of want, my guns. But at a certain point, I drop them. Because the freedom to speak freely is a core American principle. It's a fundamental principle that pretty much undergirds everything. It's the foundation of our country. And if you don't believe in free speech, well, then what do you believe in? Certainly not America. You believe in something totally different. You believe in totalitarianism, basically. And that's fine. There are a lot of countries in this world that are totalitarian. Just admit it. Just be clear about what you're about. You want to fundamentally change this country to something else. You do not believe in the bedrock principles this country was founded on, like the First Amendment. So, don't be a hypocrite. If that's your position, own it. Don't be a bitch. don't be a coward. But that's just my thought to, people that vote Democrat. Your side is pro-censorship. My God, how cowardly are you? So, what else? Let's throw up the commercial again. Rumble.com, Politics Barn. That's where we're going. You want to hear this kind of content going forward, that's where you're going to have to go, because screw YouTube. The Ukrainian war has taken a big step. And I don't want to say forward, it's just, backwards, whatever. But we're living now in a moment that could be the closest we've been to serious war since 1945. This probably rivals, I would say exceeds, the Cuban Missile Crisis. For those of you that don't know history, the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962, America found out, almost by accident, that the Russians were putting offensive missiles, nuclear almost certainly, into Cuba. If you're geographically challenged and you don't know where Cuba is about 90 miles south of Florida. So they're putting offensive missiles in Cuba, which could hit the United States in minutes. Now, they weren't done yet. They were just in the process of doing it. They weren't ready to launch these missiles, but they were in the process of putting the missiles in. Well, the United States went crazy and said, what the hell are you doing? You're not doing that. We're not going to let you do that. There's no way. You guys are putting missiles right on our doorstep in Cuba, where we got to shoot our missiles to hit you way up over the freaking North Pole, and it takes half an hour to get there, where you can hit us in 5 minutes? No way. We ain't doing it. So John F. Kennedy had a series of negotiations with Khrushchev, and there was some, real nervous time there, where it was kind of a face-to-face showdown. Who's going to blink first? Are they going to take the missiles out? Are they not going to take the missiles out? Are we going to end up sinking Russian ships that are bringing these missiles into Cuba? That is basically what Kennedy did, was he just set up a blockade around Cuba with the U.S. Navy, saying, look, if you come over here, we're going to sink you. That's it. And then you can do whatever you're going to do, but you're not putting any more missiles, or we're not going to let you make those missiles operational in Cuba. And basically they worked it out, where the solution was that the Russians backed down and removed the missiles from Cuba, and then secretly, unbeknownst to the world at the time, 6 months later, the United States removed some missiles that were, some would argue, obsolete anyway, but whatever. Removed some, I think they were called Jupiter missiles. That just sticks in my head, and I don't know if it's true or not. But they removed them from Turkey, and Turkey is pretty much on the doorstep of Russia. So we had some missiles that the Russians were like, well, wait a minute, what the you guys have them right there in Turkey, and now you're mad we're putting them into Cuba? We want those out then. And we weren't going to do it publicly. Russians agreed that, look, we just want them gone. If you want to do it secretly and not tell anyone, fine. So that was the deal. That was the deal Kennedy negotiated. I thought it worked out pretty well. There was no war. Nobody got hurt. It worked out okay. Well, now here we've got this Ukrainian war, and the step that now has happened is Putin has declared that we're going to take a vote now in all these captured territories. Apparently there's 4, whatever you want to call it, states, counties, territories. The 4 of them, which make up pretty much the eastern border of Ukraine. I've read that it's about 20% of the entire country of the Ukraine. That we're going to take a vote in these 4 captured territories, and if they vote to join Russia, that's now going to be considered Russian territory. That's Russian soil. Now, obviously, these referendums, these votes, the people are going to vote 110% to join Russia. Wink, wink, nod, nod, know what I mean? I mean, I have no illusions that a Vladimir Putin referendum is going to be any more, well, careful now, don't want to get kicked off YouTube. It's going to be unfair. Let's put it that way. It's going to be completely unfair and not accurate, but he's going to win. In other words, they're going, at the end of the day, they're going to vote to join Russia, whether they did or not. Now, clearly there's some people in these territories that want to join Russia. I believe that's true. What percentage of these people want to join? Who knows? And you're probably never going to accurately find that out because both sides are as corrupt as a $3 bill. So taking an accurate census or election of who wants to join what's probably impossible. At any rate, the key point is that Putin has declared that once these captured territories are Russian, he's going to defend them as if you were walking into Moscow. That they're going to use everything they can to defend that captured territory. He's calling up 300,000 reservists, whatever that means. I don't know if these are hardcore soldiers, or this is Bill the Butcher who's never picked up a gun in his life, or Sam the 16-year-old who is, used to playing video games and has never picked up a gun in his life. I don't know who these 300,000 are, if they're good soldiers, bad soldiers, what. But he's calling them up. He's made it clear he tends to use anything and everything in his arsenal to defend those territories. That includes hypersonic missiles. That includes nukes. They've said the words, we are going to use nukes if we have to. They've said the words, this is not a bluff. Which, you're saying, well, anyone that says this is not a bluff is bluffing. Yeah, okay, you got me there. Probably you're right. My thing on this is just, I talked to a Democrat in the last 48 hours, and I asked him about this. And I was just curious if, A, they knew what was going on. They did not. So I explained it to them, and they were just sort of like, hey, we're just going to keep doing what we're doing. They screw them. We're going to win. We're going to win. And I just think that the Democrat people or parties or voters or what have you, they have no idea what's going on. I'm almost certain of that. The Democrat leadership, I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what they're thinking. Are they just incredibly dangerous and reckless, or are they just stupid? Or are they both? I guess they'd probably both. It makes no sense. I mean, you're gambling. It's a ridiculous gamble for very little payback. Everybody's just assuming that Vladimir Putin is not going to do a goddamn thing like he says he is, and then we could just walk in there and take that territory. I just view this as like a reverse Cuban Missile Crisis, where now they're the ones that are pissed off because stuff is getting put right on their doorstep by their enemy. And they're mad, like we were mad in 1962 when the missiles were going to put in Cuba. Who wants that territory more? Us or the Russians? I don't think that's close. I think the Russians want that a hell of a lot more than we do. And now you're going to say, well, what about the Ukrainians? They don't matter. They don't matter at all. At all. They have no say in this at this point. None. Because the only reason this war has gone on as long as it has is because we've propped those guys up. Now, the Russians would be sitting in Kiev right now if it wasn't for us. We're the ones that have propped those guys up. And if we withdraw our support, Putin can run over that country probably in 2 weeks if he wants to use his whole arsenal, which he has not used yet. So, they will do whatever we tell them to do, they being the Ukrainians. The question is, is this worth the gamble that he's going to just do nothing? In other words, he's not going to use nukes. I mean, some things he could do short of the nukes. I just saw Jordan Peterson comment on this, and I've lost track of how far open or shut the pipeline is, if you will, that supplies Europe its oil and gas, that apparently the Russians are still sending it to the Europeans, and they're still buying it. And that in a way, that boggles my mind. It's like, I thought we were at war, but we're still trading back and forth? What? So apparently, Putin still hasn't completely turned off the tap. He hasn't turned the valve shut. So if he does that, then he can really crank up the pain for the Europeans, especially this winter. It's one thing if you can't turn your air conditioner on. That's a little bit uncomfortable. It's annoying. It's another thing if you can't heat your house and it's 20 degrees outside. That sucks. That really sucks. So he's probably waiting to do that if he needs to. And then, of course, he can really just, kick some stuff over and blow some stuff up with his hypersonic missiles and nukes if he really wants to. But we think he won't, because he just won't. I keep thinking, what you are betting a lot on something that you're so sure won't happen. It's almost like the '08 housing crisis. These banks, they were making stupid, ridiculous gambles, certain that the housing market would never crash because people always pay their mortgages. That's just a fundamental American principle. We incur a debt and we pay it. We always pay our mortgages, right? No one ever defaults on a mortgage. Well, of course, then that didn't happen. People did default on their mortgages, and they were stupid loans that were issued to people that were not good credit risks. And the whole thing did collapse. And they had bet a lot of money they didn't have, and they bet a lot of other people's money, and they should have lost everything, but then, of course, the taxpayers bailed them out. I mean, it would be akin to me crossing over to my other channel, sports betting. It'd be akin to me saying, you know what, I am going to bet everything I have, my entire fortune. I'm going to bet it this week on Notre Dame, because Notre Dame is a damn good team. They almost beat Ohio State. They're a top 10 team, and they're great. I mean, how many national champions do they have? A lot. They're playing, Marshall? Who the hell is Marshall? I don't even know where they are. Is there a place called Marshall? Is it Marshall, Ohio? Marshall, Virginia? No, wait, they're from West Virginia? Somewhere in buttfuck West Virginia, there's some place called Marshall. And they couldn't have anybody that's any good. I've never even heard of these guys. I think there was a plane crash in a movie or something. So probably other guys are dead or something. Who is Marshall? So we're going to bet it all on Notre Dame. We're going to bet everything I have, my entire fortune, and I got to lay a huge odds here because everybody knows Notre Dame's better than Marshall. So I got to bet a huge amount of money, my entire fortune, on Notre Dame to win like $5,000. I'm going to bet everything I've got on Notre Dame to win the game outright to win $5,000. Now, if I won, and it's very likely I will win, because Notre Dame never loses to teams like Marshall, and we know this, that's why we're making the bet, I'll get $5,000. It's easy money, right? I should take it. Easy money. And I'll put it on the pile with the rest of it, all the other thousands and thousands of dollars, and I'll go on the pile. I probably won't even know it's there. I don't need that money. I'm not gaining that much by winning that bet. But if I'm wrong, on the black swan instance, this crazy thing that if I'm wrong, what if I'm wrong? I know people never ever consider the thing that they could be wrong. I lose everything. And now, of course, Marshall did beat Notre Dame, didn't they? They're still from, West Virginia, but they won. They beat Notre Dame. and you're betting everything that Vladimir Putin is bluffing? Why are we doing that? What do we win if we're right? We win. We beat Putin. We pushed him back across the Ukrainian border. The Ukraine, a country we've never been to or never going to go to. I have no desire to go there. If I had unlimited money, I would go to probably 100 other places before I'd ever get to the Ukraine. And what have we won? But if we're wrong, on the off chance that he's not bluffing, we could lose a lot. We could lose everything. And the Democrats just don't seem to get that. They don't see that. They can't calculate the risk-reward formula on this. They just can't see it. It's like, you could be wrong. This dude could be serious. This dude might decide, I got nothing else to lose, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to be dead in a year or two anyway, and I'm going to hell. A guy like Putin probably doesn't believe in heaven and hell, so he doesn't care. He doesn't care. He could do these things very easily. The point is, the chances of Putin folding the tents are certainly not zero. They're not zero, and that's what the Democrat leadership, the Biden administration, that's the way they're acting. That the chances that Putin's going to do something offensive, that he's going to live up to his threats, they're acting like the chance is zero. It's not zero, and it's dangerous. It's ridiculous, dangerous, stupid, reckless, and of course the people that are going to pay are the American public, the European public, hey, hell, the world public possibly. It makes me a little nervous that we have fools like Joe Biden in charge when this sort of thing is starting to get out of hand now. So I guess we'll see what happens here in the next few months. I guess we'll just keep doing what we're doing. Just keep funneling arms and whatnot over to the Ukrainians. And, what if the Ukrainians break through the Russian lines and they smash through there and now they're heading headlong into Russian territory? What's going to happen? I mean, do you think the Russians are just going to sit there and go, well, they'll stop at the border? Because that's fair. Because that's our territory, That's just fair. We tried to encroach on their territory. We started the war. So they're just they've said they just want to take back their territory, right? So they'll stop. They're not going to just keep driving right into Russia. That would not be fair. That would be wrong. No, the Russians aren't going to do that at all. If they think they can't control a Ukrainian outbreak, Katie barred the door. Look out. So let's see. I mean, there's a chance this turns off now. In other words, Putin drawing this line in the sand. It's possible, if there were adults in charge, that this would be the impetus to now make a deal. That there's been a change now in the status quo, and now perhaps people would go to the bargaining table like adults and make a deal. I don't see a whole lot of adults in the room, though, so that makes me nervous. I don't know. You should think about this sort of thing, though, where, you're just, you Democrats who are basically propping up our Democrat politicians saying, yep, we want to win. We're going to win. We need regime change. We need regime change in Russia. Nothing short is going to satisfy us. You're asking for a lot of trouble that we don't need, and there's no upside to it. So, all right, that's all I got here. As I said before, again and again, this will be our last. I'll probably have one more political video here on YouTube, which will essentially just be a commercial. For those that missed it, that we're moving to Rumble, just to try to sweep as many people as possible with me. But Politics Barn, all one word, Rumble.com. That's where we're going. Politics Barn, Rumble.com. For my loyal viewers who have stuck through this, I do appreciate you people. You're why I keep making these videos. I mean, I could just yell at clouds here on my own property, out on the back 40. I could just go out there and yell at clouds if I wanted to. But it's more fun when I know that someone's actually watching the video. So, I'm trying to preach the gospel of let's make America America. And let's stop this slide into totalitarianism, which has been going on now for a good 5 years, if not longer. So, Politics Barn, Rumble.com, thanks for being here. Hit the subscribe button. Not on this channel, on Rumble. Don't hit it on this channel because I'm not going to be here anymore, but hit it on Rumble. There's a green button in the upper right-hand corner. You hit subscribe, and then I think they send you an email at some point telling you, hey, that channel you subscribe to's got new content up. That way you don't have to keep checking back and checking back. Now, if you like to just check back and check back, because you don't join things, like Groucho Marx says, he wouldn't be a member of any club that would take him as a member. So if that's your viewpoint, well, then you got to keep logging on to Rumble.com every day to see if I've got something new. Maybe every day, every other day, every third day as we head into the election here. Yeah, that's probably what we'll put up on Rumble, especially because we can do all kind of new content now without having to worry that YouTube's going to throw me in YouTube jail. So, hey, thank you, loyal subscribers. If you're not a loyal subscriber, why not? Hit the subscribe button, and we'll talk again. Eric Arnold, I believe in free speech, and I'm signing off.